Hey everyone, this is Lorcana Theo. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so pumped to be back today. It's been a while since I've been making videos. It just needed a little bit of a Lorcana break. I've been having so much fun over summer break. I've been, repping the set champs. I've been repping Lorcanito. Been doing lots of things. But after my last set champs, which happened at the end of last week, I kind of just needed to chill, needed to take a break from this game just because I think I was at about like 600 reps on Lorcanita. I was like, okay, I need to enjoy my summer and not be behind the screen. So I took a little breather. I'm happy to be back. Getting pumped for set 9. And all things set 9. It's a little bit hard though to be doing deck showcases before set 9 because so many things are going to change, right? Lots of characters are being rotated back in, lots of characters are being rotated out. We've got some new characters coming in. We've got lots of different things happening. However, I was on Twitter and an amazing TCG player named Justico TCG, who follows me and I follow them back, super cool guy, had posted this deck list and it had made top 8 actually at a recent set champs, and I was like, oh my Lanta, like this is a nice set list, or a nice like deck list. So I kind of tailored it to my own likings, kind of did my own thing with it. The core is the same, everything is the same, but it's a little bit more Lorcana Theo inspired, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But yeah, great set champ season. I'm happy to be back. I did get my champion playmat. I was so excited. I was using Ruby Sapphire Sharks, DKP Sharks, and I actually had stayed on that build the whole set champ season, and I usually switch, but the reason I stayed was because I picked up the deck, I loved it, I knew I could do great things with it, and that's exactly what happened. Anyways, we are here to talk about some racers though today, and the reason why I'm okay with doing a deck list and a showcase like this before set 9 is fully revealed is because the majority of this list, if not the whole list, is going to stay the same. I have a very strong feeling about that. So, as you see here, we've got lots of Wreck-It Ralph characters. If you're inspired or into the Wreck-It Ralph movie, definitely check this list out. It's very fast, very fun, very cool. It's a Ruby Amber list, so you know those are my two favorite colors. Ruby Sapphire, or not Ruby Sapphire. Ruby Sapphire does have a close place in my heart, but Amber Sapphire is also like a color combo I really love. But Ruby, Amber, I just love this idea. I love the pairing. I think it's really cool. The ketchup mustard title is always fun to say too. But yeah, let's get right into it. So we have Ruby Amber Racers for set 9. This deck list, like I said, is probably going to stay very similar, if not the same, to what it is right now. As you see, it's only $11.28. So if you are a Lorcana player who likes cheap Lorcana, definitely feel inspired by this deck. It is so cheap and it's actually pretty good. I think in a meta where things like Let the Storm Rage On and maybe Brawl as well are not as prevalent, I think this deck has a how do I say it? This deck has is in a great spot. So let's get right into it. So we've got our Vanellope Von Schweetz for turn 1. She's a vanilla 2/2 character. She is not only a racer archetype. She's not only a racer archetype, but she is a princess as well, and this is very important because we have another character in the deck also called Vanellope Von Schweetz, who's a shift 2 actually, so she could play a right on turn 2 if you have the shift. And it says here, whenever you play another princess character, all opposing characters get -1 until the start of your next turn. So it's a great deck to not only have racers in, but to have princesses as well, because we want to be using this ability, right, as much as possible. The ability to give -1 attack to a character is pretty great. As we've seen with other characters like Kita. So Vanellope Von Schweetz does just that. But we also like her because she's a racer too, right? And racers are going to, like, we'll talk more and more about why racers are important, but they are the heart. Like, you need them in this deck. Next up, we have Taffeta Mutton Fudge. Essentially, she's a vanilla character in this deck as well. She's a 1/2, so the stat line is a little bit lower than Vanellope. And it says here, when you play this character, if you have a location in play, each opponent loses 1 lore. So as you may have seen from when I showcased the whole deck before, we do not have any locations in this deck. So you might be wondering, like, Lorcana Theo, why are we playing this card? The reason we're playing her is because she's a racer, right? And because racers are so important for this deck that like although she's a vanilla character in this deck, we kind of still need her. And you know what? You can actually make her pop off. And I'll give you an example of that right now. So if you play Taffeta Mutton Fudge on turn 1, okay? And then you just, play whatever you need to turn 2. So that could be a Vanilla Pivon Sweets. Maybe this Vanilla Pivon Sweets, right? I don't think we have any of the other two cost songs, no, or 2-cost characters, no. We just have 2-cost actions, which you could also play turn 2, and we'll talk about more of that as we get there. But if you play this Taffeta Mutton Fudge on turn 1, you play a Vanilla P on turn 2, and then you play this Wreck-It Ralph Backseat Driver turn 3. His ability states when you play this character, Chosen Racer gets +4 strength this turn. That's really good. +4 strength is a lot of strength, and you get the ability to bring a 4/2 body on board. Let's go back to Taffeta. A 5/2 Taffeta Mutton Fudge can take out a Daisy Duck. It can take out a Rhino, right? Like these big threats that come onto the board, like she can take them out. And if we go down here to the Candy Drift is draw a card, chosen character of yours gets +5 strength this turn. At the end of your turn, banish them. Chances are she's gonna get banished anyways, but like she can take out those really big threats, right? So we like Taffeta Mutton Fudge. We think she's great. Now this is just chosen character, but it's nice that we also have the option to do chosen racer character and to make her really strong. So although she seems weak in the deck, if you think about the combo pieces, and that's what this deck is all about, right? It's all about racing and racing to the finish, comboing it up. Like she's not a bad card to play on turn 1. Like don't be upset if you have Taffeta, or if you get Taffeta and not Vanellope for your turn 1. She's actually pretty good. Next up, we have another Vanellope Von Schweetz, and you'll see that there's lots of Vanellope in here because she's our only princess, right? But we want lots of princesses, so we're just going to be tossing in Vanellope as much as we can. It says here, whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -1 until the start of your next turn. I think after rotation, we are going to be in a bit of a slower metagame where there's not things like Let the Storm Rage On, where there's not things like Be Prepared to Be Scared Of, Brawl, like from what's been announced right now. And so I think this card is actually in a good spot. I think you have a nice 2/2 character on turn 2. I don't know if that's that good, but and it says here whenever she quests, your another character gets -1. So a lot of these characters do have a great chance at beating up or getting rid of other characters without getting hurt as much, essentially. Although their willpower, I find, is quite low. So that's why I do think that we need to get ourselves into a meta where Let the Storm Rage On and things like that are gone. It will struggle into Steel. You will be struggling into Fire the Cannons, right? Even this Wreck-It Ralph is not going to survive a Fire the Cannons. But with racers, and as we'll talk more and more about it, you kind of sometimes want your characters to get banished because they recycle so well in this deck. So let's keep going. So we've got our next turn 2, which is Vanellope Von Schweetz. She's a 3/1 evasive. People use her to get rid of Diablos right now. People are using her to, challenge the really heavy evasive meta. We are back into an evasive meta again. She will be great to get rid of things like Dumbo, that 3/3 Dumbo that's going to be on the board, and that's going to be pretty scary when it comes up. She'll also be able to help with things like I don't know, what are some other evasives now? It's hard, wait, because we're post-rotation. Peter Pan Shadow Finder is the one I'm thinking of, but he's gone. Maybe some genies, things like that too, right? Because you can always give her some extra strength with things like Candy Drift or Wreck-It Ralph, right? So she'll be able to help with the evasive meta for sure. Next up, we have Calhoun. I really like this Calhoun. It says here, when you play this character, you may choose and discard a card. So easy way to put something in the discard. And then to give chosen opposing character -3 until the start of your next turn. -3 is actually quite a bit. So I think she's pretty good. You don't need any more than 3 of her in the deck. Especially because you'll notice that, like, turn 3 she'll be fine, but, like, we don't have a lot of draw in this deck, especially with Rapunzel being rotated out. Like, this deck does struggle with a draw engine. So that's why I did put this one invited to the ball, which is reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, put revealed character cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And I believe we only have 7 actions in total. So for the most part, you will be finding those character cards, but you don't, like, as much as it's good to discard cards in this deck, like, sometimes it really hurts, right? Especially if you don't have a hand. So then she just becomes this vanilla 2/4, which is, like, not the greatest. So I would say 3 is fair. Next up, we have King Candy. I love this card. He does what I call the Fruit Loop, the King Candy Fruit Loop. And essentially what that is it says here, when this character is banished, you may return another racer character card from your discard to your hand. So if you have a King Candy in your discard, like this King Candy, the Sugar Rush Nightmare, and you play another one, and then this one gets banished, you can just recycle your other one and just recycle over and over and over again, right? So that's what we call the King Candy Fruit Loop. So you're just looping King Candies over and over again, which is cool, right? Because we don't have a lot of card draw, so it's nice to be able to continuously get this character back on the board for the cost of 3, right? That's honestly kind of like reviving Lilo a little bit. So we have this King Candy Sugar Rush Nightmare. He's very good. You can also use him to revive any racer in this deck, and this deck is pretty much all racers, except for this Minnie Mouse here, which we'll go into a little bit after. But yeah, I think he's a great card. I think this deck revolves around King Candy, and we'll go into the other King Candy as well in a little bit, and you'll kind of see why. Next up, we have Gloyd Orange Boar. As you know, the incredible Zach Bivens kind of put this card on the map. He saw the potential in it and really made it thrive. It says here, when you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore and you gain 1 lore. So kind of like a Pirate's Life, but in the form of a character. A very good aggro card if you're right close to that finish line. If you're close to the finish line and you play this Gloyd Orange Boar, chances are you're going to be a little bit closer to the finish line, or you might just win. Like I said, Wreck-It Ralph Backseat Driver. He's going to give all your characters in this deck, except that Minnie Mouse, that +4 strength, which can essentially take out anything. Next up, we have this King Candy, and this is my favorite card in the deck. At first, when I first saw this card, I'm not going to lie, I said garbage. I said, this is a wannabe Prince Eric. You know that Ruby Prince Eric, the 2/2, that's like, when this character is banished, you may choose and banish an opposing character. I said, this is a wannabe Prince Eric. I don't like it. I think it's garbage. I looked at it again, and I regret saying that. And the reason I regret saying that is because in my testing with this deck, if your opponent does not have us out to this card, they don't have the Fire the Cannons, they don't have the Let the Storm Rage On, they don't have the Strength of a Raging Fire, something to get rid of this thing, the Brawl, whatever. This card does so much work. You keep this card ready, don't exert it, and they can't remove anything else off your board, or else they have the threat of you removing something of theirs. It says here, whenever one of your racer characters is banished, which is essentially this whole deck, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. That's incredible, not only because you get, if one of your characters gets banished, you get a free banish of their character. You also have this card here called Glimmer vs. Glimmer. And it says here, banish chosen character of yours to banish chosen character. What this means is that if you play King Candy on 4 and your opponent doesn't have an out to this King Candy, and you play Glimmer vs. Glimmer on turn 5, for example, like, you can banish your character to banish 2 of your opponent's characters. Like, that's pretty good. It's quite slow, but like I said, I have a feeling we're going to be in a slower meta where this combo is actually so good. Like, if they don't have a Fire the Cannons or Strength of the Raging Fire at the moment, with the reveals we have during the time of this video, like, what are they doing to this King Candy? They could play Elsa, I mean, but like, oh my gosh, I think it is such a good card. I really do. And it can be recycled, right? Like, let's say your opponent removes it off the board. Okay, like, let's recycle it back with this King Candy. just a food for thought. I think it's a great card. Next up, we have 2 Minnie Mouse. I like this card in a meta where Zeus doesn't exist, and that's where the meta seems to be right now for set 9. Of course, we don't know all the reveals, and I'll keep saying that, and this is kind of why I didn't really want to make any videos of showcases, because it's hard to say what's coming back and what's not, but we're very close to the finish line of the reveals, and I have a feeling we're losing our Zeus. But anyways, it says here, Bodyguard, this character gets +1 strength for each 1 damage on her. Now, she was an easy removal once you know how to play around her, because you could, for example, on turn 4, crash something into her. For example, it's just coming in my head, like a Rhino, okay? That's going to deal 4 damage to her. And then your opponent could just play Zeus and get rid of her, right? Like, it was a pretty easy removal for things like Zeus. But in a meta where Zeus, like, or, along came Zeus. That's the card I'm thinking of. But you kind of get the idea. In a meta where Zeus doesn't exist, like, what are they doing to get rid of this card? Like, it is so tough to remove her. In a meta where also Maui doesn't exist, that 6/5 Maui with Reckless and Rush, like, I don't know. I think Daring Defender is gonna come into the meta pretty strong, and that's the one thing I'm excited about for rotation as well, is that although we're losing a bunch of cards that we think are, you know, like, so prominent to the game, so necessary for the game, we're going to start to see so many of these cards that never had a chance or didn't really have a chance start to really show up and do what they were meant to do, and I'm really excited for that. We also have Vanellope Von Schweetz. She's the Sugar Rush Princess. It says here, when you play another princess character, all opposing characters get -1 strength until the start of your turn. So including her, we have 3, 6, math, 6 plus 8. This is kind of embarrassing. 4, 8, 12, 18. We have 18 princess characters in this deck list. Guys, it's summer, chill. We have this Vanellope Von Schweetz. I love this card. She has Rush and she has Evasive on the turn you play her. So she gets rid of things for me like Genie. She gets rid of things for me like Elsa and that new Dumbo's. Bye-bye. She does great into Diablos right now and to Peter Pan's right now. At least 3. At least. I would consider going up to 4. I think she's great. And she even quests her too as well. I think she's really good. This next card here, I'm struggling to understand it in its complete amazing awesomeness, but I see videos and I see people playing it, and so that is why I want to continue testing it. It says here, whenever you return a racer character from your discard to your hand, and there are quite a few ways to do that, which we'll continue to go into, you may ready chosen racer character. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's the best card in the deck. I do really enjoy it though, and the reason that is because we have so many ways to recycle our racer characters, and it's not even when you play the racer. It's just whenever you return it from your discard to your hand, right? So we can combo this with a bunch of cards in the deck. For example, that King Candy we talked about earlier, which is when this character is banished, you may return another racer character from your discard to your hand. So, and then you get to ready a character for free. And we know that readying characters is really important, especially in a meta that we're going into where it's very hard to remove characters from the board if they are not exerted, right? So we have Fix-It Felix Jr. Next up, we have another recycle character. This is Calhoun. I love the artwork on this card. I think it's a beautiful card. Shift 4. So we also have, although I mentioned earlier that, you know, this card was meh, she does do well as a shift target into this Calhoun. And it says here, whenever this character challenges another character, you may return a racer character card from your discard to your hand. Now, do not get this twisted. If she is banished in the challenge, you cannot bring her back. Because it says here, whenever this character challenges another character, you may return a racer character card from your discard to your hand. So the challenge, from what I understand, the challenge happens first, then the banish happens next. So she'll challenge another character, you bring something back to your hand, and then the challenge resolves. Okay. If it said whenever this character banishes another character, you may return a racer character from your discard to your hand. That would be different. But this is just when she challenges. So you challenge, right? You bring something back, and then the challenge resolves. If this is wrong, someone in the chat or someone in the comments, please let me know. But from what I understand, that's what they're trying to get at. So you can't just continuously recycle her over and over again. But it'd be cool if you could. But you definitely can with cards like Wreck-It Ralph. So this is Wreck-It Ralph, Big Lug, Shift 5, and you do have a shift target for him. You have that little Wreck-It Ralph right here. And it says here, when you play this character and whenever he quests, you may return a racer character with cost 6 or less. That's practically this whole deck, except for this character. I'm pretty sure the Calhoun's 6 or less. Yeah, that's this whole deck, except for this guy. Whenever you play this character and whenever he quests, you may return a racer character with cost 6 or less from your discard to your hand. If you do, gain 1 lore. So I know we said we don't have a draw engine, but we do have a Wreck-It Ralph. And that's kind of similar, right? Because you will be having a lot of things. By the time you get this out on the board, you will have quite a few things in your discard. Whether that's from this Calhoun, who's going to discard something to get, to give something -3 strength. Or maybe that's from you playing Glimmer versus Glimmer with this King Candy and putting something into your discard, or putting a racer into your discard so that you can remove 2 things from your opponent's board. Or maybe it's you playing Candy Drift, which means allows you to give your character +5 strength, and then you have to banish them at the end of the turn, but you get to draw a card as well, which is so great. So not only are you gaining free lore from that 1 lore, but you're essentially recycling your whole discard at this point if they can't do anything about this card. So it's a great card. Definitely, I would say 3 is fair. It is uninkable, unfortunately, but other than that, it's pretty good. And that's the deck. Because we don't know the meta, I'm not going to play any games with this deck yet. I will want to make another video on this deck in the future when we know what the meta is like, where I can tell you what the mulligan would be into those different decks, what the strategies would be into those decks. But right now, from what I see, we don't really know a lot of that, so we can't really talk about what your how do I say it, what your mulligan strategy should be. Like, we don't know right now if Brawl is coming back. We don't know right now if Be Prepared is actually going to be reduced from a rare to an uncommon, right? Or maybe it'll stay a rare. We still have, I think, 2 or 3 more rares that are allowed to be reprinted. So we don't know any of that yet. What I will do though is I will just show you a basic kind of mulligan that might be able to help you as you are practicing and as you are testing. So as you see here, we do have a 1-drop. We don't have any 2-drops, but we do have a nice turn 3 and a turn 4 as well. If you are into things like Amethyst, I would consider keeping this Vanellope Von Schweetz, because of course the meta for Amethyst is going to be all about evasives. With that new Dumbo card, it's looking pretty scary for us. Which it's just 3/3, and it gives all your evasive characters the ability to essentially quest for 1, and then you get to draw a card as well, and it also has that ability. So I think that's pretty cool. It's like exert, gain 1 lore, gain a card. I don't know, pretty crazy. We don't have the King Candy, so I would get rid of this Glimmer vs. Glimmer. Wreck-It Ralph is a late game card, so we want him later. We'll keep Taffeta. We don't really need 2 Wreck-It Ralphs, although he will be very nice as ink if we do need that. But I would rather have a 3-drop as well. In case someone can do something to this Taffeta, the most value we can get off this Wreck-It Ralph is when something else is on the board, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this Wreck-It Ralph as well. And ooh, do I want a hard mulligan for the 3-drop? I think I do. So I'll get rid of this King Candy as well. Let's see what we or for the 2-drop. And so let's see, if we mulligan and draw 4, what will we get? So we didn't get our 2-drop, but we can do Taffeta turn 1. Fingers crossed, something turn 2. And then our turn 3, if our Taffeta can stay alive, would be Wreck-It Ralph. If it's not, King Candy. And then we can start recycling back we can recycle back that taffeta and go from there, right? Even if we just need to use her as ink late game, this King Candy's ability will be good. Let's try another one. I don't know. Didn't really love that one. This time we do have a 1-drop and a 2-drop. We have our 1-drop taffeta, our 2-drop Vanellope, 3-drop Wreck-It Ralph. That's a bit better. And our 4-drop King Candy. So actually I'm going to get rid of one of these King Candies. But this is actually, from what I'm seeing, I'll actually use this Calhoun as ink. This is a great 1, 2, 3, 4. Whether I'm on the play or I'm on the draw, I've got lots of things that can remove characters from the board. I've got this King Candy that's like as soon as he placed on the board, they have to have an answer to it, or else like they'll be losing a lot of their own characters, and then we'll get to recycle ours back with things like this Calhoun. I think this is a great opening hand. Let's mulligan one and see what we get. So we did get a Vanellope Von Schweetz as well, so it's a good thing we kept this Calhoun because we can use that as ink, and then we can start going from there. We do have this King Candy too, so like depending on what we want to play turn 3, you could either do the Wreck-It Ralph or the King Candy. They're both pretty amazing options for that turn 3. If we had that Calhoun shift as well, shifting this Calhoun out on turn 4 is not bad either. So that's just an idea of the mulligan. As I continue to play with this deck more, as we continue to see the meta more, I think I'll have a better understanding of what the mulligan should look like. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's typically you want your 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe some kind of ink as well. We do have 13 uninkables in this deck, so it's not uncommon to draw. It's not rare to draw into an uninkable, so you just have to be very careful there. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. It is $11. This, like I said, this deck is inspired by Justico TCG. Shout out to him if you aren't following his Twitter. Go check it out. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, I think that's it for the deck. Actually, I do want to mention, if there are any cards that you're like, ooh, I would rather play something else. Some different cards that you might want to try out are, for example, this Candlehead. She's a racer, and it says when this character is banished, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. So if you're like, Theo, your first mulligan was actually terrible, and it probably was. If you want more 2-drops, I don't think she's a bad option, right? Removing 2 damage is not bad. But in a deck like this, you kind of want your characters to go bye-bye. So it's like meh. It's meh. Snowbana is actually a cooler name. Snowbana Rainbow, Rush, 2/4, 3-cost uninkable. She has the same stats as a Super Goofy, right? But she is not super goofy. She's not bad, right? Like, for example, right now a lot of people use her into Smee because she gets rid of Smee and survives the attack. So she's not bad, but I just don't really want any more uninkables. So I think my 3-drop slot is pretty incredible already. So I kind of just kept her out. Invited to the Ball. If you want to add more of these in, go for it. If you're like, I really would prefer a better draw engine, that's totally fine. But as you're like recycling characters, you'll kind of notice that is your draw engine essentially. Like as you're using things like the big Calhoun, the big Wreck-It Ralph, the little King Candy, like those cards are bringing things back to your hand, right? And then you could use those as ink, or you could play them. So it's pretty interesting, the combos that this deck does, and it's pretty cool. And then also, if you wanted to do the Speed Rush Speedway starting line and finish line, by all means go for it. Like this card, like if you can make it work, it's pretty amazing. But I think in a meta or in a field now where we don't have the Rapunzel, where we don't have the Gothel, where we don't have those key cards that help us draw, these cards are pretty unreliable, right? Like they're uninkable. They sometimes clog up the hand. Sometimes you get one, not the other, and it's like, well, what am I gonna do with this? I can't even ink it. So I personally stay away from those, but I know people who play them and do really well with them. So definitely check those out. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please check out my socials at Lorcana Theo, my Dreamborn page at Lorcana Theo as well. I'm always making decks. I love making decks. It's my favorite part of this game. I think it's so much fun to just share decks and see what other people have to say about them and go from there. But yeah, again, thank you so much for checking out this video. I'll definitely try to make another racer showcase soon once we know more of the meta, but right now this is where it's at, and I think it's in a really, really cool space. You guys definitely check it out. It's 11 bucks. You're not breaking the bank to try out an awesome Wreck-It Ralph inspired deck. Again, thank you so much for coming to my channel, and I will see you next time.